Leaving no one behind. You remember, don't you? We have covered a similar topic in our previous reports. One of the most important rules in military services is not to leave a man behind. Soldiers do not let their mates down at any cost. They save their friends at cost of sacrificing themselves, because a war is not an individual struggle, but a team game. In fact, we recently carried out rescue operations of the Ukrainian armed forces trapped in the trenches to your screens as the pioneer. The Russian army once again showed a great weakness against the Ukrainian army. Wounded soldiers were left halfway. Hello, the pioneer viewers. I hope you're healthy and well. As I have just mentioned, the Russian army has again made a big scandal. In fact, we cannot hold the whole Russian army responsible here because some Russian soldiers fulfilled these scandalous decisions due to the pressure of their commanders. Wounded Russian soldiers were abandoned by their friends in the Dnieper River basin, where the clashes were intense. So, what are the details of this incident? Let's take a look at the developments together. As the pioneer team, we continue to convey the Russia-Ukraine war to you by making an intense effort. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also help us reach more people by commenting on our videos. I read all your comments. Let's start if you're ready, the pioneer reports. As you know, in recent days, the Ukrainian armed forces have gained both tactical and psychological superiority on the Kherson front line. We will talk about the drones on the Kherson front line in a moment. Recently, the Ukrainian armed forces announced a major operation in the vicinity of the data outlets in the vicinity of the Dnieper River. We have already mentioned these operations. We knew that the Marines of the Ukrainian armed forces were carrying out operations in this area. In fact, on that day, Russian troops carried out attacks in this lodge of the Ukrainian Marines from the positions they captured around the data outlets. However, they did not succeed. During the clashes between the Ukrainian Marines and the Russian troops, many Russian soldiers were wounded. Russian soldiers were ordered to retreat to avoid further casualties or injuries. However, Russian soldiers in the region informed their commanders via the radios. Many Russian soldiers were laying wounded on the battle line. Russian soldiers asked their commanders for fire and transport support. However, this support was not provided. Russian soldiers had to retreat, leaving their wounded friends. The incident is not limited to this, because this was allegedly not the first time this happened. Recently, Anton Grashchenko, an advisor to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, shared a video of Russian soldiers with the public on social media. Grashchenko used the following statements while sharing the video. More Russian soldiers revealed details of a life on the front line in the Kherson direction. Instead of ordering evacuation, the command prefers to leave the wounded to rot. There are no officers in the positions the soldiers are sent to slaughter. In the video in question, Russian soldiers make very striking statements that confirms Grashchenko's allegations. We have heard many times that Russian soldiers on the Kherson front line are in a difficult situation. However, with this video, it turned out that the situation of the Russian soldiers was worse than known. Moreover, the Russian Federation has once again clearly lost the propaganda war. The statements of the Russian soldiers in question are as follows. We don't receive anything promised in return for the military services. We even have to buy our own food and petrol. The commanders refuse to provide medicines and medical support for the treatment of our wounded comrades. They also refuse to provide us with transport to pick up our fallen comrades from the conflict line. We are trying to take our friends out of the conflict area with our own means. While doing this, we ask for military support. However, they don't provide it either. The commanders do not even care about the Russian soldiers who are wounded or killed. All the savings in this regard belong to the unit members. Some of our friends use money from their wives to buy petrol and food. The brigade collects money among itself. Salaries? No. It's all a big lie. None of us have been looking for our salaries for a while. God bless the families who sent money to our friends. Without them, we will starve to death here. The statements of another soldier clearly revealed the desperation in the Russian army. According to soldiers' claims, the Russian army suffers from water shortage as well as food and petrol shortages. In some regions, it is not even possible to buy food or petrol for money. Therefore, he claims that Russian soldiers have started to drink river water and eat whatever they find under their feet in order to survive here. Of course, while all of this is happening, another issue is the recognition of these soldiers by the Russian state. According to the allegations of one of the soldiers in this group, the Russian state has not recognized the fact that these soldiers served in Ukraine. These Russian soldiers claim that the state did not keep any reports on them during their services. In this way, the Russian Federation does not officially recognize the presence of these soldiers there. Another allegation in the video is about the behavior of the Russian commanders towards the families of soldiers. According to the allegations, when the wives of the Russian soldiers call the Russian army officials to get news from their spouses, the Russian army officials hang up on the phones in the face of the wives of the Russian soldiers. The Russian soldiers uses the following sentences about the incident in question. I understand that the hotlines are already overheated, the phones are melting, but this is not an answer. It is the work of a scum to answer like that. While the Ukrainian pressure on the Kherson front line wears down the Russian army, Russian commanders continue to wear down the Russian army with their scandalous decisions. This is the main reason behind the sudden success of the Ukrainian army on the Kherson front line, because while the commanders of the Ukrainian army are at the head of the army on the battlefield and struggle to meet the needs of their army, the Russian commanders leave the Russian soldiers alone. There is also the issue of the unmanned aerial vehicles. According to reports, the Ukrainian army unmanned aerial vehicles are carrying out very important activities on the Kherson front line. Recently, a Russian military blogger made the following statements about the activity of the Ukrainian army's drones on the Kherson front line. They don't allow us to approach or move away. They immediately fly drones or launches mortars. And if our mortars fire somewhere, kamikaze drones fly everything it has. The drones are not merry-go-round, constantly changing each other. They make noise and rumble through the jungle. They check the roads, they see people. Kamikaze drones hit every moving car. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army's offensives on the Kherson front line leaves much to be desired? What is your opinion about the latest situation on the Russian army? How do you think the actions of the Russian commanders will affect the Russian army? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.